Hello? Hello? Is the camera on? Is the camera on? Yeah, we got a cowboy here. Got my cowboy hat on. You know, this is a little ceramic cowboy I painted back when I was in junior high school, back in the day when I used to read a lot of Louis L'Amour novels. I really liked the Louis L'Amour novels. I was really into cowboys. Anyway, put this back up on a shelf. I loved Louis L'Amour when I was a kid. I bought all of his stuff, man. I got 100 Louis L'Amour novels here. All the little paperbacks, each one of them about 200 pages long. Every single one of them just golden storytelling magic. That's what Louis L'Amour is. And right now, we are going to be reviewing Hondo. Probably Louis L'Amour's most famous book. I'm Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart, and The Lonesome Crown, all published by Simon & Schuster Saga Press. And this is my channel where I review books. And I'm telling you, I am going to do a review of every single Louis L'Amour novel in my collection. Might take me years and years, but we will do it because I got a lot of other book reviews to do besides Louis L'Amour. But we're going to do it. We're going to plow through and we're going to reread all these and we're going to do it because I read all this stuff when I was a kid and I can't wait to get back and feel the magic again. If you watched my last review of the Californios, you can go do that. You can see how I feel about Louis L'Amour. One of the things that we talk about in my book reviews, first and foremost, is the book covers themselves. And with every Louis L'Amour novel, we get a fantastic work of art, of old Western art, on every cover of every Louis L'Amour novel. That's why I love having these things in my collection, because they are that priceless. Famous Western artists did these covers. I mean, they are just all oil painted, acrylic painted, whatever. Every single one of them has just got a fantastic old West painting. And I love the style. I love the graphic design on these. I love the simplicity and just the emphasis on the old Western art on all of these things. It just doesn't get better than this, folks. I mean, you gotta have these books in your collection. It just doesn't get better. These are great adventure novels. Every Louis L'Amour is a great adventure novel, written with great prose and dialogue, and the adventures they just hum right along. Hondo, probably, like I said, one of his biggest books, made into a movie starring John Wayne. Actually, let's go through the history of it. It was actually a short story called The Gift of Cochise. It started out as a short story in an Old West magazine called The Gift of Cochise. And then Hollywood bought it and they made a film of it called Hondo. Well, they wanted a novelization of the film based off the short story, of the Louis L'Amour short story. So they says, hey, Louis L'Amour, will you do a novelization of the film based off your short story? I mean, the film's already made and everything, so he did that. And when this took place in 1952, 53, 54-ish, you know, he wrote the story in 52, the short story. The movie came out in 53, and about shortly thereafter, the novelization of the movie came out, written by the same guy that wrote the short story. And it became one of his biggest hits, if not his biggest hit. And my second favorite Louis L'Amour novel of all time, after the Californios, which I reviewed earlier. Like I said, I'm going to review them all. Hondo, what's it about? Oh, it's a classic story. A classic Western tale of the young woman and her child on the homestead. Her husband was just a ne'er-do-well, just a bad dude. Took her out to the deserts of southern Arizona to start a homestead. And then he bailed. He just bailed on her and the kid. Just boop, lit out of town like a never to be seen again. And now this lady, she's got this ranch that she's got to run and a young boy she's got to raise. And she's surrounded by Indians. She's surrounded by Spanish bandits, Mexican bandits. She's surrounded by wildlife and the desert and the harsh desert. And she's in a bad spot, Things are getting bad for her. And then along comes Hondo, our gunslinger. Notorious gunslinger. Notorious for killing a lot of people in gun duels. So Hondo comes along and he helps her out. You know, he sees that, hey, here's a young lady living by herself with a young boy. I'll lend a hand. I'll lend a hand. And they become attached to each other. And the young boy specifically becomes attached to Hondo. He's like, because Hondo's got a little bit of the, he ain't the settling down type himself, And so he wanders off every now and then. And the little boy's kind of like, hey, Mom, is Hondo coming back? Because, the little boy, Hondo's a good dude around the woman and this kid. He's a good dude, teaches the kid how to be a man. And the kid can see that he's a good influence on not only himself, but his mother. And he keeps the bandits away. Well, things just spiral out of control, right? I won't give away the ending or anything like that. Let's just say it's a good setup for a lot of gunslinging, cowboys and Indians, cowboys and bad guys. The thing about Louis L'Amour is I've watched a lot of interviews that he gives about the Native Americans, and he's probably one Western writers that really understood the plight of the Native Americans, and he never, ever makes them into the bad guys. They've always got a reason for what they're doing. Even if what they're doing seems to be, kind of murderous, kind of bad, you always get to see the landscape through their perspective, which I really appreciate, especially in these things where a lot of them don't make it out alive in the story and stuff like that. So let's just say that Hondo, if you want to read just a crisp, well-written Western that you can sit down in an afternoon and just breeze through it and read some really great writing with a really great story to it, with a really great moral to it. One of the things about Louis L'Amour is, though there's violence and though there's danger and adventure and blood and guts and people getting shot, people getting hung and killed in all manner of ways, he never, ever, ever puts profanity or pornography in his books, which is cool. And that's not needed. It's not needed. Now, there's profanity in my novels. There's no porno. They're not pornos. There's some swearing. But Louis L'Amour was against it. He was against it. Didn't mind the violence. Didn't want the porn, and he didn't want the swearing. So you can either watch the movie with John Wayne, which, by the way, follows the book quite close. Well, this is a novelization of the movie. That's why it follows the movie. The book follows the movie pretty close, and vice versa. Hondo, Louis L'Amour, one of the greatest Westerns ever written. 9.5 out of 10.